This is the first all shrimp tank tour of 2019. It's coming right up. Hello guys, what's going on? My name is Mark and welcome to Mark Shrimp Tanks. Today we're going to have a look at all my shrimp tanks in their entirety. All of them, every single one, and every single gazillion shrimp that I have, because I have lots and lots of them. But before we get into that, if this is your first time here and you want to learn more about shrimp, how to breed them and care for them, then start now by subscribing and clicking the bell icon so you don't miss anything. Really quickly as well guys, can you please let me know in the comment section below what your shrimp resolutions are for this year. So let's get started onto this tank here. Nothing's really changed much in this tank. You'll see something new here, but I'll go into that in more detail in another video. This tank has pretty much exploded in growth with Sawassertang. If any of you guys don't know, Sawassertang likes soft water, I do believe that, right? So let's go on to the shrimp. My mixed bees are doing really good. You're going to see macro shots of this as well, just in case my camera is in and out of focus here. It's very hard to see on the GoPro. But this tank is doing really well. We're having lots of hybridization here. As you can see, look at this beautiful blue steel as well. And I'm just really in awe of this tank. It just gets better and better and better as time goes by. Isn't it wonderful to look at as well? Look at it for a shrimp tank, just amazing. Okay, let's go into the shadow zebra pintos. These are a breed of shrimp that I have bred myself. These came from blue steels and I crossed them with black zebra pintos. Now they're shadow black zebra pintos. Aren't they looking cool? You can see some of the genetics from the parents still in this, because I still get a lot of steel BLUEBOLTs as well. You see them in the back? Lots and lots of baby steel BLUEBOLTs. So these steel BLUEBOLTs go into my steel and BLUEBOLT tank. Right, and over time guys, it is possible to breed stuff out of shrimp, certain traits and stuff that you don't want, right? So I'm not going to like discard these BLUEBOLTs because they might have zebra pinto babies, right? I'll just move the zebra pinto babies back over here. And eventually over time my gene pool and my blue tank will get stronger and stronger, and the genetics I don't want will die out. And a good example of this is this tank up here. I started this tank with crystal reds and crystal blacks. There is no longer any crystal blacks in there at all. That is proof that if you keep on culling hard enough, you can take away a trait that you don't desire. So that's what I did with there. And by the way guys, it's not like I didn't desire them. I put them in this tank here. Now this tank is all just crystal blacks, and I get the odd crystal red in here too. Okay, let's go on to my Project Red tank. This is one of my favourite tanks to look at because it's just so awesome. We have wine reds, Missouri wine reds, we have ruby reds in here, and they're just exploding basically. This tank exploded a little bit last year. You can see lots of babies in the brick and stuff at the back. So I followed the plan that I did in this one onto this tank, and it's worked as well. Aren't they just amazing looking? Right, so because these tanks were so successful, we went over and we're doing the same in this tank. Now this is a mixed tank of Missouri BLUEBOLTs, steels and your normal BLUEBOLTs. You can see how mixed they are here. Now this tank is just starting to take off. And you can tell it's just starting to take off guys, because when I originally set up this tank had maybe 4 or 5 BLUEBOLTs. And slowly over time a lot of them died off and I was left with nothing. And then I was just scrounging out of tanks looking for more BLUEBOLTs and steels that might have survived, and I put them in here. And eventually over time they start to breed again, right? So there's lots and lots of babies. You can see them all in the gravel here, all over the place, right? So this tank is going to be just as popular as these two. And that all comes down to guys is clean water and watching your feeding. That's all it is. This next tank is the Groot tank. This tank was mixed painted fire reds and what I do believe are classed as blue rillies. Right, and the blue rillies, by the way guys, in case you don't know, come from painted fire reds, right? So these guys look special. Right? I'm going to show you a picture of them close up as well. You can see they have like a red body, but they actually have a blue flesh to them. So it makes them look quite spectacular with the contrast in the shrimp themselves. Of course there's like a million ram's horn snails in here, and that is by design because I will sell some of these guys as well in the summer. So this is a dual purpose tank. Alright, this tank's going to get an upgrade in the filtration pretty soon as well, which you will also see in future videos want to quickly talk about the green tub here. This is full of Michelins, Tangerine Tiger Michelins that came out of this top tank here. The water currently has a bacterial bloom in it. This tank gets the same water changes as all the other ones, but this one has a bacterial bloom in it. And it's just very hard to see the shrimp, so I'm not going to bother putting the camera in there or trying to film them because it's just too tough to see. PINTO fire reds are doing really good. This tank is needing a bit of a clean now. You can see, look at the build-up of algae. PINTO fire red's doing really good. One of my favourite shrimp. In the back you can see one of the vampire shrimp on the glass, right in the corner. This one is Bruce, I do believe. We had a naming live stream on YouTube a few weeks back and we came up with the names Bruce and Bertha. The smaller one is Bertha, but I think she might be a female. So that is that. Looking good though. Let's get onto the cull tank. Cull tank is just looking, some of it looks great, some of it looks like nah, not so great. Plant wise it looks spectacular. Cull tank looking good. You will see a close up of them too. This tank is just the same as the rest of them. It gets a regular water change of 10% once or every second week. Here is my Triops califormis little test tub I'm doing here. Still no luck trying to breed them. By the way guys, if you ever do the Triops, it's really important that you look for the name of the Triop, where it's come from, because I probably haven't succeeded with these so far because I've kept them in this room. And Triops califormis, I was shocked. If you put it into a search on YouTube, one of the first videos that will come up is a place in Scotland where these are found. I was like, oh, so they're not really a tropical Triops after all. They can withstand tropical temperatures, but they're not a tropical Triops, right? So basically when you want to set up a tank like this, it's basically you're needing a shallow dish like this, sandy muddy bottom, and a few plants, right? And I have actually put eggs in here yesterday, and I'm waiting to see if they've hatched, because I think the only thing this is missing from this is mulp, right? And the way I'm going to get mulp from this is I'm going to use the sponge filters from the other tanks. I'm going to squeeze them into a bucket. I'm going to get all the crap that I can from the sponges, you know, all the like brown stuff that comes out the sponges basically, and we're going to add it to this, and once it settles I reckon this will be the perfect environment for Triops, right? And then we're going to feed them things like bloodworm and stuff, right? So that is coming up as well. Frog bite, did I save them? Yes I did. Frog bit, they're looking very good. There was a little bit of a snail infestation in here, but I used fenbendazole, overdosed it, and I think I've killed all the snails in here, right? So I normally wouldn't do this in a tank that I was just keeping for myself with shrimp, but if I ever plan to sell these, I don't want people getting snails and all that kind of stuff. And also the snails do love to eat frog bait, right? So we managed to save these little guys. Alright, so I'm going to go up to the top. Your pan of the shrimp up here. Crystal reds are doing really well. I am seeing the odd one in here now that is a fancy crystal, which is a cross between a Tangerine Tiger and a crystal basically, right? So you see there's some here, you will see them in close-up mode as well, but these ones I do believe are like F1s because they don't look very special at all, but there's some of them in here that actually look like little zebra pintos, and these ones I do believe are the fancy shrimp once they've got past the F1 stage of their development, the breeding stage that is. Right, so this tank itself is just the same as it's always been. It's just overgrown with stuff. So let's get onto the crystal blacks. This one I might change this year. Again, you can see a theme in all my tanks. There's always like lots and lots of sawasser tang. You see all the couple of King Kong babies on the filter here. This tank is still very much mixed. I'd originally had pandas and King Kongs in here, and I've gradually got less and less King Kongs in here, but I am seeing quite a few of the babies, right? So I put the King Kong males in here because I want them to breed with the female crystal blacks, and that gives me more genetics to deal with for mixed breeding basically with Michelins and stuff. Alright, so you can see all the babies in the bottom here. This one I was saying I might change this year because I think the soil is almost done. I tried to fix this a few years back, and it kind of was a little like patch on the aquarium, but I think I need to like redo it completely. But it's still good to see that they're still breeding, still seeing the baby pandas and baby King Kongs in here, so you never know. It might be one of these tanks that is a late bloomer. There's a PINTO in here for some reason, a small PINTO. That could have come from these guys being mixed, or one of the tangerines might have been a Michelin to start with that's come from a PINTO. Right, so that is this tank. Orange Eye Blue Tigers have had a tiny change, but I'll explain that in a minute, because some of them have been moved to another tank. These are basically Royal Orange Eye Blue Tigers, these ones. And I've tried to move out as many of the normal Orange Eye Blue Tigers as possible. The normal Orange Eye Blue Tigers have a stripe in their sides, basically. I'm not sure you can see any. There is one there. So this is one that would typically come out of here and it would go into another tank, because these guys on their own are quite expensive. So it is worth my while removing the Orange Eye Blue Tiger, the normal ones with the stripes, and putting them in their own tank. And even them themselves are quite desirable as well, right? So it's worth me splitting these guys up, breeding them properly. You also get blondes, tigers out of this as well. I haven't seen a blonde in here for a long time. These guys have had babies recently, because I am seeing like the odd little tiny thing in here, like this little fella here. The other thing is, the other variation you get on this is the rusty. You can see, I can just make it out with my eyes. I do see it in the camera when I'm making videos and stuff, that these guys have quite a lot of rusty genetics in them. They're red. I think this desirable, but I'm not sure a lot of other people do. Okay, let's get on to the Tangerine Tiger tank. You will see this in better detail in macro mode. There's a lot of Tangerine Tigers in here. If any of you guys want a starter shrimp that is pretty suitable for most conditions, because you will notice in a lot of my tanks I use an active substrate, and I have this shrimp in it, and it does well. This tank doesn't have an active substrate, and it still does well. It breeds like mad. It probably breeds better than cherry shrimp, I think, which is saying a lot. These guys are, this is basically a sell-on tank, this one. Right, so what I do with this guys is I let the shrimp grow to about 1 centimetre, and then I sell them on. I keep all the larger shrimp for myself, and people, when they buy them, it's basically potluck on what sex they get in, blah 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 blah. You get the gist. You show the filtration. By the way, guys, as well, I did notice that duckweed grows much better in harder water than it does in softer water. You can see on my soft water tanks there is a little bit duckweed, but in harder water tanks, and I'm going to show you that more in a second as well, because it's quite noticeable in this next tank. This one, another cherry shrimp tank. A hydro sunset is really nice in here. This tank is needing a little bit of maintenance, I think. The cherry shrimp are thriving in here. I'm not sure how many you'll be able to see, but remember, guys, I was just saying to you about the quid, like how it thrives in harder water. Well, this is a good example of it. This is a harder water tank, and they are absolutely exploding with growth in here. Let's go on to probably my favourite tank. These are my red zebra pintos. I bought them last year, set up the tank over a course of 2 months. In reality, guys, I think I could have set this tank up over 3 or 4 months, because it took that long for the shrimp to for them to become at home with the tank, I would say, if that makes sense. Because they did try and breed a few times before, and it wasn't very successful. Like I was seeing buried shrimp after the first 2 months after I put them in. And I wasn't seeing a very high survival rate, right? Then after the 3rd and 4th month, everything seems to be surviving. So in here you will see as well, there's like baby shrimp everywhere. There's actually like newborns and stuff in the Sawasa tank too. Right, so this is probably my favourite shrimp right now. Some of the ones with less nice markings, they will be going up into my mixed breeding tank probably pretty soon. Okay, so we've got one more tank to go. And I kept this for last because it has been quite the disaster, if I'm very honest with myself. Let's have a look at the filtration up top first. We have pothos in here, Venus flytraps, we have some moss. And then we have, I do apologise if you hear the dogs barking, we have a friend's dog that's with us and she likes to go cray-cray. Okay, so this tank's had all the hornwort removed. The blue dreams that were in here, I had 7 that I culled down to, I basically had 20 guys, right, and I culled them down to 7, what I thought were the best 7, right, and over time I was seeing less and less of them, and I decided to move the hornwort because I believed it was detrimental to the tank, and I was correct. I have seen that in other tanks where hornwort, if it grows too much, it can basically pollute the tank because there's a lot of the hornwort, if it doesn't get light, it just dies off, right, so that's what happened here. Right, so this tank has had a little bit of a renovation. After I removed all the hornwort, there was basically only 4 shrimp left in this tank. Right, you guys will know, it's very, very hard to start up a tank with 4 shrimp. You know, to get it properly cycled and all that good stuff. You know, to get the filtration working properly. Basically get the tank up and running. It's very, very hard to do it with a small amount of shrimp, right? So the best way you could do this, guys, is to put a substitute shrimp in here, and that is what I did. When I chose to put my blue normal orange eye tigers in here, you can see them up here. Right, I put 10 of them in here. And it's obviously, I'm still putting a little bit too much food in because I have put food in here today. I haven't fed them for like 2 or 3 days and nothing has come to the front, right, so this food has to come out of here. Right, so what's going to happen in here, guys, is the orange eye blue tigers will help the blue neos keep the tank clean, basically. They'll keep it healthy, right, and the goal with this, guys, as well is the orange eye blue tigers should be able to breed in here quite well because I have a hunch that orange eye blue tigers like slightly harder water. I have bred them in soft water and hard water, but I think they do slightly better in hard water, so that's what this tank is. There is 1 big buried female in here already, but the other piece of good news is the blue dreams, I'm not giving up on them yet. I know there's only 4 of them in here, but the only female that is left, she is big and she is buried too. So that's a big thumbs up. Let's hope she survives. And I know a few of you guys will say, how am I going to know the difference between the babies in here? Well, orange eye blue tigers have orange eyes compared to blue neos that have normal eyes. Some of the orange eye blue tigers will have like normal eyes as well, but I will be able to spot the difference, trust me. Okay, shall we talk about this little vase before we go? You probably just see the big female here. It's a big female Michelin. She has a beautiful zebra stripe on her back. It's going to be very hard for you guys to see her, I think. I put her in here a long time ago and she's grown really, really big. And she has a massive saddle on her, right? So I thought, why not take this little opportunity here to see if we can do something with this tank, right? So what I did, I got a couple of orange eye blue tiger males and I put them in here as well. I've been feeding this tank like really lightly, like a piece of food every week or something like that. High protein food, because I want to see if this female, if she will molt and then basically be mated with and then possibly have babies in this little tank. I know this one is very small. This one's only 8 litres, but it does have a very thick substrate bed here, you see it? So the water is quite soft. You know what I just noticed, guys, as well here is I had a packet of fairy shrimp eggs, right, and I didn't think they were viable. I don't know if you're going to see this, but there's loads of them in here. There's basically millions of them swimming around. You see them? Oh, the little fairy shrimp. That is so cool. Just goes to show, I had given up on this packet of fairy shrimp eggs a long time ago. I don't know what it was, if they were like needed to be dormant longer or what. But there you go. There's lots of them in here. There's lots of other little stuff as well. Some of them look like triops eggs, which is a bit worrying. I did buy them as a mixed packet on eBay, but I'll let you guys know all about that too. You probably will just be able to make out all that movement in the water, right? So this tank has become really interesting. It's also a good tank for this type of experiment as well, because the water does go green in here, and green water is very good for little microorganisms like this. You can probably see the blue, Untitled Blue Tigers here. There's one here and one there. I only put 2 in. So that is this little tank. I also put frogbit in here as well, just to soak up as much of the nitrates and stuff as well. We do have the high growth sunset in here, but it seems to have like stopped growing, and I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the way the little tank looks now. So for the shrimp, there's no filtration in here, but there is a soaching oxidator in here in the middle. You can see it. So that provides the tank with a little bit of oxygen. I was aware that I didn't want this tank to go stagnant. So that is this tank. So that was today's shrimp room tour. Let me know in the comment section what have you thought of today's video. Also guys, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, smash that thumbs up button, and I'll catch you on the next one. Happy shrimp game guys.